leaning against the wall but not against it. Her slender and full body stood proudly upright, and her head was always held high. Perseus was both impressed and somewhat speechless that he could maintain such composure for so long when no one was watching. This is so inhumane. She's inside. Since we're here, why don't we chat with her for a bit? Perseus said softly. Lovia looked at him, frowned, and walked over with an elegant yet sharp demeanor. I have nothing to talk about with her. It shouldn't be that bad, right? Perseus smiled. As far as I know, as long as two people are related, even if they have deep-seated hatred, they will still have something to say to each other. Don't you know what kind of person she is? Lovia laughed coldly. Perseus thought for a moment, then said seriously, I guess you may have tried to talk to her before, but she didn't respond. Lovia didn't speak, but her face was icy cold. He knew he was right. You hate her so much, besides the fact that you're rivals for her affections. Could it also be related to this? Perseus asked. Aren't you talking too much? Lovia's expression was indifferent, clearly unwilling to discuss the matter further. Did he agree? I have fulfilled my mission. Perseus smiled and bowed. Then what are you standing there for? Where is he? Take me there. Lovia was getting impatient. There's no rush. Perseus shook his head. What are you up to now? Lovia's face darkened. Please don't misunderstand. I just want you to change your clothes. Perseus looked her up and down. Although this beautiful and expensive dress can best accentuate your beauty and status, we're going to investigate someone, not to attend a ball. In order not to displease His Highness the Crown Prince, or even make him suspect your motives, I sincerely suggest that you change into clothes that are more comfortable to move in. You've thought of that quite thoroughly. After speaking coldly, Lovia walked straight to her room. Perseus followed silently. Before closing the door, Lovia looked at him coldly and said, I'm going to change my clothes. You'd better watch yourself and not do anything funny, or I'll gouge your eyes out. Miss Lovia doesn't need to remind me of this, Perseus said calmly. Lovia snorted coldly, and the next second, the door seemed to be slammed into his face. After a while, the door opened a crack, and Lovia's eyes appeared through the crack. Go and call Helen here for me. Lovia's expression was unfriendly. Perseus asked, puzzled. I brought the swordsman's uniform I had ordered last year, Lovia said through gritted teeth, but can't fit it in, Perseus blurted out. In an instant, Lovia's gaze became so sharp it could kill. Can't you fit into it? He quickly changed his words. Wipe the blood off your nose. Hurry up. Lovia frowned. Actually, I can help with this little thing, Perseus said seriously, wiping his nose. I know sixth-order earth magic, so ill-fitting clothes are a piece of cake for me. But at least I need to know the size, no, the dimensions, before I can adjust them accurately. You think I let a pervert like you know what I am? Lovia's face was as cold as ice. Call Helen here. Lovia hesitated for a moment, then said, Get in here. Before she finished speaking, she had already disappeared through the door. Sorry to bother you. Perseus pushed open the door with a serious expression and then closed it behind him. The curtains in the room were already drawn. Lovia lay on the bed, covering her body with a blanket, revealing only her cold face. She had taken off the dress she was wearing earlier and placed it on the back of the chair, along with a set of exquisite gray-white swordsman's clothes. In other words, Lovia is currently only wearing underwear. This wouldn't have been a problem in itself. Perseus saw naked women every night, but she was covered by a blanket, like a woman half concealing her face while playing the pipa. This kind of alluring feeling, which makes people's imaginations run wild, is often more captivating than being completely naked. Moreover, she was Lovia, a noble and aloof woman who never gave anyone a kind look. Perseus's breathing quickened instantly, and he almost lost his mind. Don't waste time. Hurry up and alter the clothes, Lovia urged impatiently. But even with your body covered like this, I still don't know your size, Perseus said. You think I let you touch my body? Lovia sneered. I only need to visually estimate it. You can't even look. Isn't there underwear? Even wearing underwear is not allowed. Could it be that your underwear is the more daring and unrestrained type? Perseus wondered. Try using your brain, which is filthier than a sewer, again. I'd better go find your cousin, Perseus sighed. I really can't do anything about this. Where were you all this time? Lovia exclaimed. We've already wasted so much time. Then you. Lovia threw off the covers with a look of disgust, nearly blinding Perseus. It's just so gorgeous. Her lingerie was far from daring. It was more conservative than that of nuns in a convent, exactly matching Ivice's aesthetic. Objectively speaking, Although they're the same style of underwear, the bodies underneath cannot be compared. Ivais's body was naturally stunning, with excellent proportions and just the right amount of perfection. But Lovia's, while full of beauty, also possesses an unreasonable and absolute violence, as if she were madly humiliating Perseus's eyes from such a great distance. Every inch of her skin exuded a deadly allure, captivating Perseus's gaze and refusing to let go for a moment. Have you seen enough? Lovia's face had become so ugly it was almost ferocious. This only made Perseus more irresistible. Please stand up, Perseus said. After all, your body is in two completely different forms when you lie down and when you stand up. Those two big babies are absolutely all natural, which is why Perseus is in such a dilemma. Judging by appearances, Winnie actually lost. But eyes can be deceiving. It would be unfair to Winnie to draw conclusions based on just a glance from afar. He needs to control the variables. Lovia stood up stiffly, her bare feet touching the floor. Perseus dared not delay. If he dragged it out any longer, this woman would definitely fight him to the death. He observed Lovia's body from several different angles, then reached out his hand towards the swordsman's uniform over there. That's fine, Perseus said calmly. So fast. Lovia looked incredulous. Please feel free to try it on. I guarantee it will fit perfectly, Perseus smiled. Lovia didn't want to waste any more time and glared at him fiercely. Turn around. Actually, there's nothing wrong with looking at it. This underwear is so tight-fitting that it's flawless from every angle. Perseus obediently complied, since he had already seen enough. Although the lingerie version of Lovia initially shocked him, it was just that after seeing it, he began to yearn for the lingerie-free version, so he didn't hesitate to give up the beautiful scenery he was seeing now. Lovia started getting dressed. Then she was surprised to find that the swordsman's uniform, which she had been struggling to fit into just moments before, now fit perfectly and was easy and comfortable to wear. The only problem is, the fit is absolutely perfect. This swordsman's outfit was as if this man had used his dirty hands to explore and master every detail of her perfect and proud body before carefully tailoring it. Without going to this level, it would be impossible to make it this perfect. She suddenly became very certain that this man understood her body even better than she did herself. You pervert. One day I'll kill you with my own hands. Lovia gritted her teeth, as if she wanted to burn a hole in the man's back with her gaze. I thought you would at least say thank you, Perseus said regretfully. Lovia remained calm, put on her boots, and before the man could turn around, she kicked him hard in the shin. Perseus took a solid kick from her, his body swayed, but he didn't fall down. Why didn't you dodge? Lovia frowned. Why dodge? Perseus chuckled. The flavor of that kick is enough for me to savor for years to come. Lovia was so angry, she wanted to kick him to death right then and there, but she didn't dare kick him, afraid that he might actually be more than happy to oblige. She really couldn't handle this man. The only thing she could do was calm herself down and stop being tempted by him. Lovia picked up a hairband and tied her golden curls back, her face expressionless, ignoring Perseus. Perseus glanced at her new look. It's very nice, but clothes are still too much of a hindrance. Please follow me. He remained calm and unperturbed, completely unconcerned by Lovia's feigned indifference. Andre had been waiting impatiently for a long time, but in front of Perseus, he managed to suppress his family's ancestral bad temper, something he himself could not do anything about. As for the beautiful Lovia, she was practically invisible to him, and he didn't even bother to give her a second glance. Can we go now? Andre asked. Any time is fine. Do you know where that white flame lives? Have no idea. Andre didn't know how to react. He looked at the clear sky outside and said, It seems we need to start the investigation from scratch. Perseus wholeheartedly agreed. Let's go. With Andre's command, the three left the Earl's mansion. Not long after he stepped out the gate, Perseus saw Aesop and Alice walking towards him from a distance. Perseus wanted to wait until they got closer before greeting them, but as soon as Aesop saw them, he accelerated wildly, leaving Alice unable to keep up and causing her to complain bitterly as she was left behind. From a great distance, Perseus saw Aesop's bright, sparkling eyes. The person she sees is Andre. Chapter 190, A Perfect Arrangement. Perseus, it's been a long time. Aesop slammed on the brakes and stopped in front of the three of them. Although she was greeting Perseus, her gaze was fixed on Andre without any attempt to hide it. Her eyes shone with an unusually bright light, and her smile was incredibly sweet. Upon hearing her say this, Andre's wary hand, which had been drawing its sword, stopped. Perseus, do you know her? This is Miss Aesop from the Bloodfang Adventurers. Perseus introduced with a smile, one of our own. Andre shoved his sword back into its sheath. He had no doubt that he chose to believe Perseus. Yes. We're on the same side. Are you also following the old count? Aesop's eyes darted around, occasionally glancing at Lovia, but mainly fixed on Andre, his gaze so direct that Andre found it somewhat unbearable. Move. Lovia couldn't stand it any longer. Aesop remained indifferent to her hostility, quietly waiting for Alice to arrive. Alice gasped for breath. You. Perseus then introduced Alice to Andre and Lovia. Hello. Alice smiled kindly. Andre and Lovia simply watch her silently. These two are known as the coolest guys and girls in the capital, and they don't care about anyone. Alice is no exception. Alice didn't mind and stared at Andre curiously. Perseus, these two, Andre frowned slightly. At first, he thought that Aesop and Alice were women Perseus had been seeing behind Ivais's back, and he was indignant. But when he saw the way the two girls were staring at him, he became confused. Chris, let's talk in private. Aesop hooked his arm around Perseus's shoulder and forcibly dragged him away. Chris. Andre was even more confused. Chris is Perseus, it's all this guy. Aesop chuckled. That's the fake name he gave himself. He fooled us for a long time. He really is a lying bastard, Lovia said with a grim face. Andre gave her a disapproving look. His dissatisfaction wasn't because he felt Lovia had wronged Perseus, but because he thought Lovia shouldn't have said such unnecessary things to these two girls whose backgrounds he didn't know. Isn't this leaking confidential information? I'll go over there first. Please wait a moment, Perseus said with a smile. Before Andre and Lovia could even offer their opinions, the two had already walked away. With their arms around each other's shoulders and backs in a casual manner, they looked more like good buddies than lovers. Alice was left alone, speechless, facing the two cool guys and girls. She was already a bit shy, and these two were so unfriendly that every second felt like an eternity. She could only force a smile while inwardly cursing Aesop as an idiot. Although Andre was interested in learning about Alice and the others, he was even more interested in what Perseus and Ivaisa had been doing with him recently. However, he did not trust Alice and was afraid of accidentally saying something he shouldn't, so he remained silent. Lovia wouldn't have anything to say to Alice either. Based on Aesop and Alice's behavior just now, she concluded that both girls were infatuated with Andre, and that such flirtatious women were the kind of people she hated and despised the most. However, what angered her even more was that she had no right to slap this woman across the face, because she was no one to Andre. Her gaze became unpredictable, which made poor Alice's little heart a little unbearable. In fact, she was wrong to think of Alice as a potential rival who was plotting against Andre. But Aesop was not wrongly accused. No, Budi. Aesop's eyes widened, barely containing his excitement. Could it be that the tall, handsome guy, the one who makes me drool, is the man you said you were going to introduce to me last time? So, tempted. Perseus smiled. Are you kidding me? It's more than just being moved. My heart is about to explode. You can touch it if you don't believe me. Before he finished speaking, Aesop cautiously covered his chest again. Never mind. You can't touch it now. Why? Perseus couldn't help but ask. Aesop chuckled wickedly. Given our relationship, it wouldn't have been a problem for you to touch me. I actually quite like you anyway. At worst, I'd pester you to take responsibility after you touch me. But now, I won't say anything that might hurt our feelings. I understand, Perseus said calmly. Right now you like him more than me. So you only want him to touch you and only want him to take responsibility. You're so annoying. How could you be so blunt? I'm a girl. Aesop said coquettishly. Perseus felt a little nauseous. I asked you to be my girlfriend before, and you cruelly rejected me. You shouldn't blame me for falling for someone else now, right? Aesop asked seriously. Of course not, Perseus said. I originally wanted to introduce you two to each other, and hopefully things would develop further. If you fall for him, I won't be angry. On the contrary, I'll be very happy, because half the goal has already been achieved. You're making me feel bad, Aesop said. I'll give you one more chance. If you accept me, it won't matter to me how handsome that guy is anymore. How about it? Haven't you already fallen for him? But I haven't completely stopped liking you yet. Perseus smiled and shook his head. Unfortunately, you've already fallen for him. I don't want a woman who's changed her mind, so it's enough for you to focus on liking him.